Welcome to another episode of Las Blancas. We are back after a break, after an international break, where later on we were supposed to play Levante, but that game got postponed. So we have decided to do a special pod to talk about a lot of things. Listeners will be seeing this in a new fashion. There are a lot of changes happening in the background. And before we get into the pod, we have some exciting news about the future of Las Blancas. Starting December 1st, we are changing things up. Currently, these episodes that you listen to are available in the audio format everywhere. Your Spotify, your Apple, you got it all. But starting December 1st, Las Blancas will move to a video format on Managing Madrid's YouTube channel, and it will be accessible to the Patreon members. So if you want to keep listening to Las Blancas, if you want to keep supporting us, we would highly encourage you to join patreon.com/slash managing Madrid. Become a member there. You will get a lot of exclusive stuff, not just for Las Blancas about our femenino side, but also the men's side who they have regular podcasts, we have special articles, we have special discussions, we have special Q&A. And yeah, please join. You make this happen, and we will be trying to bring you Las Blancas in a new format moving forwards. So let's get into it. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the international break, and let's briefly mention what happened in the Madrid CFF game as well. To do all of that, as always, I've got Kanita with me. Kanita, how you doing? How you feeling about this change?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty fun change. And I mean, listen, the most exciting part is that there's a lot of laughing happening behind the scenes, especially on my part. I don't know about Yash, obviously, but I know that I laugh a lot behind the scenes while we discuss something. So yeah, you will be able to see that as well. So that will be exciting. And yeah, I mean, it's a big change. So yeah, I mean, listen, we might need some time to adjust, might not, let's see. But yeah, I mean, fun times. And yeah, man, this I mean, we had international break, it passed, we have had one postponed game, right? And yeah, we're back. So
Yeah, it's a new territory for both of us, so we'll get some getting used to. But rest assured, we'll be bringing you regular pods. We'll be bringing you regular updates as always. That is not going to change. So let's start by talking about the Madrid CFF game. I think we missed that part because a lot was happening in the background at that time. And yeah, let's just briefly touch upon it. We obviously came away winners. 1-0, senior Bruun very early goal in the game, and then we held it out. We created some 1xg, 1.3 xg in that game, and we managed to hold it on. We managed to keep another clean sheet. The main talking points, as always, I think from that game was we saw another five changes in the lineup, which at this point seems like the norm, which it shouldn't be, as we have discussed multiple times, but that seems to be the case. So yeah, I mean, can't do much about that when the manager is so open to consistently switching up the lineups. So yeah, I mean, what were your thoughts? What did you come away with from that game?
yeah, I mean, listen, the formation change, these five changes from the previous game. I mean, listen, and it's not just any game; it's a Madrid CFF game, and I think that this game, like all in all, was worse than the Madrid derby against Atletico. And we actually won this game, the one we played worse. So like it was a whole mess, was experimental too. I mean, I don't know. These five changes in the lineup, it's so annoying. I don't know. I mean, we haven't played the game since the well after the international break yet, so I don't know I mean, we keep saying like we don't know how much longer will this last, right? I hope not longer than this international break. Like that's like the limit of the limits, possibly. I just hope no more. I can't with this. And we'll be having some very very important games this month as well. We will have El Clasico. We will have a ton of Champions League games in the next period. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. And yeah, annoying, but like you said, it's a manager that's prone to just experimenting a lot, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's been what now 7 games in the league, and we still are sort of in that experimental phase, which says a lot. We keep switching up formation, we keep switching up players. So yeah, I mean it's something that will take a while for the viewers, for us as fans to get used to. But yeah, let's see what comes out after this international break. Do we see some sort of consistency? Because as you mentioned, there are some big games coming up for us. We have the El Clasico coming up. We have Champions League games as well. So yeah, I mean everything's there at stake now, and there will be a lot of eyes as well on some of these games. So hopefully we put out the best version of ourselves in those games. And moving on from that, I think the performance was pretty all right. I wouldn't say like we were completely and utterly in control or dominant, but yeah, I mean it wasn't as threatening as well. I would say, but yeah, I think you had a particular player that you wanted to highlight, and I think you would be right in doing so. We were discussing it before we started recording as well. Melgard, what do you have to say about her? Like she was really good on either flanks in the game. She switched flanks mid game, and she was still just cooking us in every possible way. She seems like a really talented youngster. I mean, I have seen her before. She's still 18, pretty young. So yeah, I mean, what did you make of her performance in this game?
So I've looked at her minutes and stats in general this season, and she's been a regular. She's been a starter. She started all 7 games before ours, and obviously ours. And well, well, I mean, she's pretty important to them. And we could see why in our game. I mean, listen, my notes are full of Melgard cooking this player, cooking that player, just our defense as a whole. And, it's not a good. It's not a good look to see these notes again, especially after the rewatch. I had even more notes on her cooking our defenders. So, yeah, in the first half, she played on the right. She was up against Olga, and well, it was pretty unstable game from Olga in this one. And well, Melgard, I mean, she cooked Olga. I'm not gonna lie, she cooked Rocio and Mendes as well. Also once Lakrar as well, even though Lakrar had a solid game. So basically, when she switched on the left side in the second half, she she cooked Shay as well. So yeah, she broke lines. She was there to receive balls, to make through passes, to everything. I mean, to give herself space. There was this one shot. I'm not sure. Yeah, from the first half, she just went through our midfield. It just like no one was watching her. She was on the literally on the right wing, and she found herself space. She also cooked Misa. Like she like tricked her into where she would go. She just switched positions immediately and had a clear shot. She went. It went over. No, actually, it was saved by Misa in the end. But yeah, it was a very very dangerous shot, and she did that quite a lot. And yeah, she's only 18, and like I said, one of their main players. So yeah, she blew me away. She was also the official MVP of the match.
Yeah, I mean, and for a reason, like you mentioned, she had a go at every single one of our defenders, and at times it looked like the ball was glued to her feet, and she was doing whatever she was. And the thing about her is she has a really good awareness of the spaces. Like she knows where she needs to go before she receives the ball and when she's on the ball, and I think that is something that is pretty key for somebody who is playing in a position, where she can play on either flank, she can play as the attacking midfielder as well. So she has got that range, she has got that versatility about her as well. And I mean, as you mentioned, just 18, so still a long way to go and still pretty talented. So yeah, pretty exciting player. And Madrid CFF always have these sort of players, young players who, usually they get those from the African countries, but this time it's somebody from a European side as well, a European country as well. So it's interesting the way they spot these talents and the way they make them shine in the league. It's really good. So yeah, I mean, at the end we won the game, which again peppers over some of these issues that have been long persisting. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing we can do about it at the moment, except for wait for a game where all of those issues just surface and we are unable to do anything and we don't come away with a positive result. So yeah, we'll see about that when that happens. But yeah, there are warning signs everywhere, in every single game. So hopefully those get addressed before we are exposed. So let's put that game to bed for now. It was just a brief recap of that game, but I think we are recording this pod as a sort of an international break recap for everyone listening, because a lot happened in the international break. Some pointless friendlies, to be honest. Like, I don't understand some of these friendlies, why they are happening, why teams are playing so many random sides as well. I understand that there are a couple of teams still in contention for the Euros, playing the qualifiers, playing the playoffs, but the other teams who have already qualified are, in the middle of playing, using these windows as a preparation for their final squad next year for the Euros. So teams are playing different sort of opponents. There were a lot of players involved as well. So let's start by talking about Denmark first, because Denmark was the team that I watched for both the games. So I'll start by talking about them. They were playing the pointless friendlies, as I mentioned. They played South Africa and Netherlands in back-to-back games, and they won one and they lost one. They won against South Africa, and they lost against Netherlands. And senior Bruun started both the games. In one game, she played 58 odd minutes, and in the other one, she was subbed off at half time. She scored as well uh, against South Africa. She had two goals. And what I found interesting was the way Denmark were using their front three. In the first game, it was Bredgard and Gale playing behind senior Bruun, which is understandable because Bredgard and Mille Gale are both sort of these inside forwards that can play as attacking midfielders as well. So that made sense. But in the second game against Netherlands, that is where I found it interesting, and they lost that game. It was Bruun leading the line, but it was Pernilla Harder and Amalie Vansgaard playing as the two tens behind her, sort of, which was which I wouldn't say worked necessarily, because you have Bruun who likes to be this focal point in attack. Vansgaard also likes to be that sort of leading figure in attack, and we know Harder can adjust anywhere. So Harder was doing that, but the dynamics between Vansgaard and Bruun did not really click in that game, I would say. And they lost to two quick goals by Netherlands. Like in the first half, in the 26-27 minutes, they conceded two, and then they weren't able to like get into the game. They were struggling to create attacks. They were struggling to find that synergy between the front three, like they did with Bredgard and Bruun. So yeah, I mean, I think Bruun's overall performance, I would say, was decent. We again got to see what she can do. She scored goals. She was leading the line. She was a threat in the box. Her movements to combine with the two players playing right behind her was brilliant, which allowed not just the other two players to flourish, but also for the other two players to turn providers for Bruun, because Bruun was making those right runs. Bruun was in the right spaces where she needed to be, and I would say it was a fruitful window for her because she kept continued her goal scoring form. And yeah, I mean, she scored before going into the international break as well, against Madrid CFF. Scored in the international break as well too against South Africa. I think we should be taking that as positive, and hopefully she'll continue to score goals in the next games as well. So, do you want to go next, Kanita, with Spain updates, because there are a lot of players involved whenever Spain is playing? How did the Madridistas perform?
Yeah, so there were 6 players called up for Spain, less than usual, which I'm not complaining about, honestly. So, and all 6 of them played. So yeah, no rest, honestly. So, they played against Canada and Italy. Well, it was 1-1 in both games. Pretty bad games for Spain, honestly. Like in general. But yeah, here are the minutes from our Madridistas. So Olga played full 90 against Canada and 70 against Italy. So yeah, just a little bit of rest, for someone who plays almost constantly for the club as well. Maria Mendes 75 against Canada and 90 against Italy. So yeah, almost everything. Sheila didn't play against Canada and played the full game against Italy. Tere played a full game against Canada and 76 against Italy. See, these are just crazy numbers. I mean, just too much, too much. And it's just friendlies, man. Then you have Atenea. She played full 90 against Canada and 33 minutes against Italy. And then, well, now we have Alba Redondo. First, she played 75 against Canada, and in the 21 minute against Italy, she played. She got a goal. So Spain actually took a lead in 86 minutes. It was by Alba Redondo, assisted by Alexia. And literally 2 minutes later, Italy tied the game. So there's that. Uh, but yeah, we have Redondo with 1 goal in Spain, and that's all.
Yeah, I think Spain's performances in general over the course of last few international breaks haven't been as impressive. I would say they are. I don't know. Like their squad selection has been a bit weird. Their tactics on the field have been a bit weird. Like you don't. They still keep the ball a lot, but you don't see that incisiveness, and you don't see that edge that Spain had. The last Euros, the last World Cup. We saw Spain, and we were like, okay, this is a side that can win any football game possible, and it doesn't look like that. They look like a lethargic side, and we have seen, I think, that showed up in these two games, to be honest. So yeah, one to keep an eye on. Euros is around. If these performances continue, like who knows what can happen. Spain walk into the tournament as one of the favorites, as always in the last couple of years. But yeah, let's see what happens in the tournament. If they play like this, it's gonna be difficult. So moving on, we have got France, where Lakrar was called up, and it was again pointless friendlies for France as well because they have qualified as well. So it was they played Jamaica and they played Switzerland. Against Jamaica, Lakrar did not feature, which is good. She got a 90 minutes rest, so she only featured in one of those games. She played the 19, the other one against Switzerland. France ended up losing the game, but It was a rotated front side, like they were trying out some new players. They were trying out Gago as the striker. There was no Grasgeoro in the midfield. The defense as well was a new one, sort of like trying some players in different positions to sort of work out which players they are going to finalize for the Euro squad next year. And I think these windows serve that exact purpose. Apart from avoiding injuries, it is also going to serve as a boot camp sort of for the upcoming Euros for teams that have already qualified, where these teams call up some new players who haven't been called up before, and they are given an opportunity to showcase what they can do, not just domestically but on the international stage as well. And I think France were trying to do that against Switzerland, and they ended up losing the game. I think Lakrar in that game was decent. Wouldn't say that it was her best performance. She was playing as the right centre back, partnered by Wendy Renard, and I feel like she did all right. No real complaints, but nothing real stand out as well. She could have been better in a couple of occasions. So yeah, that is about France. Maile Lakra got a 90-minute rest, and she played 58 minutes. She played the entire 90 in the next one. So that is about France. Do you want to go about Colombia, Kanita?
Well, no, I will give you Colombia honestly because I have like Scotland and Sweden. But just a note, Naomi Feller was also called up for France originally, but well, she was dropped from the squad list, probably because of injury. Well, it was reported it was injury. I don't exactly know what. I hope it resolves until the next game. I'm not informed by that, so yeah, just a quick note. But yeah, please go over the Colombia games.
Okay, so Colombia were up against Brazil. They played them twice in the international friendlies. Now, again, there isn't much at stake here. It was just international friendlies for Colombia. And as always, I think Linda Caicedo plays in every single age group that Colombia has a team in at this point. She's playing for the under 20s, she's playing for the under 17s, she's playing for the senior side as well. So you see Linda Caicedo in every single Colombian team that takes the field in women's football, I feel like. And she was here as well. She played the first 90 against Brazil in a game that ended 1-1. In the second game, she played once again. She played 90. She scored a goal, which which made it 2-1 for Colombia. But then Brazil scored again, and it was 3-1. So another 180 minutes for Linda Caicedo, and she was just starting to get into the side after that early absence due to the under 20 World Cup, and now she has 180 minutes in this break. She'll be traveling back, and we have league games as well. But the good thing that happened to us was the Levante game was postponed, so she has gotten a bit more time to settle in and have that multiple training sessions under her belt. So hopefully this minute accumulation doesn't work against us, and she still continues to keep her place in the starting 11 come next game, and she continues to perform for the club as well, like she always does. So hopefully the minute accumulation is a bit of a issue in my head, because I don't like players playing both 90s, when they can be rested, when there's nothing at stake. Basically, there's no qualification happening, no nothing. So yeah, I mean, not very happy with the fact that she got 180 minutes, but she came away unharmed and is will be training with the squad for our next game. So I'll take that as a win. So
Yeah,
go on about Scotland and Sweden, who actually had something at stake playing this international break. So go on.
yeah, I imagine not all of the games were friendlies. Yay! So yeah, so Scotland, well, we had Caroline Weir, and Sweden, in Sweden we have Filippa Angeldahl. So first, Scotland, they played against Hungary, obviously both times. They were so both teams played in the qualifications for Euros in the playoffs, so uh, they didn't qualify directly. So Scotland and Sweden. But Scotland played against Hungary twice, won both times. So for the first game, Scotland won 0-1 away, obviously. So in that game, it was different formation from the second game. So they played in 3-5-2. Weir was in the midfield with Cuthbert and Kerr, with Evans and Emsley on the wing backs. And well, listen, both games were basically dependent on the right side with Lisa Evans creating triangles with Evans on the right and building it up from there, or by long balls and crosses by Erin Cuthbert, for which she's quite famous for, honestly. But what's exciting about the first game is that Weir played her first game for Scotland back after 13 months. Actually, it's exactly 13 months. And yeah, she played 76 minutes. Well, she played 76 in both games. So yeah. The second game, well, they won 4-0. They played in Scotland, and it was a bit more chill. They were more clinical. They played in 4-4-2. Weir was with Samantha Kerr in the middle, and with Cuthbert and Evans on wider positions. And Weir scored the third goal of the game. So it was in 55th minute. Very, very cool goal, actually. It was assisted by Cuthbert. It was like a cheeky back heel pass to her, and Weir went one-on-one versus the goalkeeper. And Yash finished it masterfully. So yeah, Weir once again, being back, scoring, and yeah, always fun to see. And with these two wins, they're through to the final round of playoffs. They will play against Finland on November 29th and December 3rd. So yeah, this is the finals of the playoffs. And yeah, then we have Sweden. Sweden played against Luxembourg, 2 games as well, Euros qualifications playoffs. And well, these these 2 games were much more chill. Honestly, so Sweden won 4-0 away, and Angeldahl scored the opener. It was they scored an opener in 26th. It was a rocket, and well, she played in a 4-3-3 with Kafaji and Benson in the first game. Second game it was also 4-3-3, but she played with Aslani, our a former Madrid. Well, she is always a Madridista, but yeah, always fun to see these collaborations. And with Zdigoti Olme. So yeah, but Sweden actually missed a lot of chances in the first game. Like, they weren't critical. It was 4-0, but they missed a lot. Luxembourg wasn't really playing. Angeldahl scored this one goal and played 76 minutes. Sorry. In the second game, well, Angeldahl scored a brace against again the opener. It was again a rocket. It went, hit the inner part of the post, and yeah, it was pretty cool after recovery by Sweden. It was pretty early on in 9th minute. The first game was 26 minutes, so you can see how they began, more easily. And she scored a third goal. It was a penalty, but penalty won by Panarit, so Angeldahl took it and scored. But 3 minutes before that, Sweden had another penalty, and it was missed. Rolfo skied it. So yeah, the second penalty was taken by Angeldahl, and she took. So it was funny to see like 2 penalties in like 3 minutes. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, she played 59 minutes in this game, and yeah, with these 4-0 and 8-0 games by Sweden, they're obviously through to the final round, and they'll play against Serbia on November 29th and December 3rd. And yeah, that's it.
All right, so this is what the international break brought us about our Madridista. This is how they fared, and obviously, like the two teams, like we mentioned, Scotland will be playing up against Finland, and Sweden will be playing against Serbia. So these two teams still have a lot at stake in the coming international break, which feels like we have just had an international break and there's already going to be another one. Like, please end these international breaks. The next one is going to be the last one for this year, and yeah, I mean, hopefully, all of the Madridistas that go into that international break come away unharmed. That is all we can hope for at the moment. So these two teams, Sweden and Scotland, definitely have something to look forward to. It will be important for their qualification chances. The teams that win here will be going straight to the Euros. So yeah, a lot at stake. The next two games will be important for these two sides. The rest of the sides will, I think, continue playing meaningless friendlies, which will serve as a primer for their squad selection next year for the Euros. So, yeah, this is about it. This was a nice, brief international break roundup. I feel like uh, a couple of players that obviously worry us were that have played the most minutes, and especially with Linda, I would say, because Linda also has to travel back, and then it's all that 180 minutes in her tank, and she was just getting to the grips with the team. She was just getting into the starting lineup. So hopefully, it's not an issue, but we'll see that. We'll find out when we play next. I think we play Levante Las Planas next.
Levante Badalona now.
Oh, Levante Barcelona, right? Wow, all these team name changes for no reason at all. Like, okay, all right. So we play Levante Barcelona up next, and hopefully, I think we will win. But hopefully, we see a good performance and we see some consistency based on the last game, because I think with the Levante game earlier being postponed, uh, this game should be able to field a similar lineup to the one that we fielded against Madrid CFF, or whatever our first choice 11 is. I think we should be able to see some sort of consistency in that regard, because that break has allowed Toril to sort of have players for a few more sessions, few more training sessions together. So I think that should help. But as always, we'll find out in the next game when we have 4 or 5 changes once again. So let's see. Let's see what the boss man holds for the next game. Anything else, Kanita, that you would like to add, that you would like to mention that we haven't?
Yeah, so I just want to touch up on this. So we got our game against Levante was postponed, and you must have heard why. It's huge thing all over the news, and it was huge floods in Valencia. It was around 500 dead, and I don't know, around 2,000 missing still. It's a real tragedy, and obviously the games were postponed for all Valencian teams in all categories and all divisions. And yeah, I mean, for me, the entirety of this match day shouldn't have been played in either La Liga and Liga F. But yeah, it's just a huge mental toll on the players, not just Valencian players, but literally the whole league. And yeah, it's a tragedy what happened, and yeah, it's happening like there floods in smaller scales in Barcelona now as well. So yeah, a lot is happening, and yeah, honestly, um, you have um, I can share, and I did share some links about for Valencia and like the Red Cross in In Spain, the government is sadly not doing much, and people are very angry about it for a reason as well. And yeah, so my thoughts are with Valencia and with Barcelona, and well, basically everyone affected by the floods.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments as well. I saw some of the clips. I saw some of the images that came out after the destruction that has ensued because of the floods, and it's devastating, honestly. Hopefully, the situation improves, and yeah, I'll also share some of the links where the listeners or anyone watching can actually help change the situation and help the people suffering there. So yeah, hopefully the situation gets better as soon as possible. Okay, so moving on, I think we can wrap this pod up. It was an international recap sort of pod because we did not have the weekend game. Thought we should be doing this and we should be providing you updates about all the Madridista that were involved during the international break. So next game will bring you the pod this time in video format as well. So once again, I'm going to say to all the listeners who have been listening to us for a very long time, I would highly encourage you guys to join Managing Madrid's Patreon. It's patreon.com/Managing Madrid. There will be a lot of content, not just from Las Blancas, but about the men's side as well. So make sure you join, make sure you show us your support, and we'll continue to bring you good content as always. So yeah, until next time, Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.